Hey everyone. So this is a little bit out of character for me. I'm not a person who loves being in the spotlight or feels 100% comfortable putting myself out there like this. But I just ask you guys to bear with me as I explain what I'm trying to do here. High level, I want to take on a big challenge for the rest of 2021. I want to use this platform to publicly declare what that challenge is, what the goals are of undertaking this challenge, and why I even want to embark on this journey in the first place. I want to use you guys, my friends, my family, my network, to help keep me accountable throughout this journey. Before I explain what this massive challenge is, however, we need to take a few steps back. I need to take this time to give everyone a life update on me, on DeCo, which will help lay the foundation for the inspiration behind this challenge. So we all know that 2020, the year of COVID, was a challenging year for everyone. Believe it or not, 2021, in just its few short months thus far, has already provided me and my family with some intense challenges and hardships. I'll try to break it down into 3 parts. 1, the event, 2, the recovery, and 3, the future. So let's talk about the event. Earlier this year, on January 12th, I suffered a serious life-threatening event, completely out of the blue, but related to my underlying condition of vascular EDS, or vascular Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, which is a rare, genetic, serious connective tissue disorder. We in the community call it VEDS for short. I was feeling fine one second, but then felt a weird sharp pain in my upper thigh, groin area. I was literally just standing in my closet figuring out what shirt to wear that day, which for some of you who know me well, that can be an intense and crucial decision-making process. I joke, of course, because in all honesty, I obviously wasn't doing anything strenuous. And that's what alarmed me the most. I tried walking around a little bit in my room to see if the pain would go away. It wasn't the worst pain I had ever felt, but it was unique. It was different. Something wasn't quite right. I may have thought some type of weird muscle strain if I was doing anything active or stretching or something, but since I was just standing there still when it happened, it just didn't add up. Who knows? I may have tried to tough it out to see if the pain subsided. Thank God for the last 5 years of preparation and knowledge on the seriousness of this condition and knowing what to look out for. I was born with this genetic condition, but I did not find out that I had it until I was 37 years old. I'll speak more about the backstory of all this in a little bit, but for now, let's get back to the event. Within a few minutes of trying to ascertain what the heck was going on, the pain then led to numbness throughout my entire right leg, all the way down to my foot. I could still walk on it, but it was like trying to walk with one leg that was completely asleep. Pins and needles type of feeling. I knew to take it seriously, and within minutes, my wife Katie and I were headed to the hospital. Thank God for my super strong wife and her detailed logistical planning. As I said before, preparation and knowledge were everything in this scenario. If I waited any longer, I might not be speaking to you right now, or I may be speaking to you with only one leg. It's even surreal to say that sentence, that is what was at stake. Within an hour or two of getting to the hospital, I was in surgery. They had done a quick CTA scan and confirmed that I had a 3.5-inch dissection of my right iliac artery leading down to my femoral artery, which was not properly allowing blood flow to get to the rest of my leg and foot, hence the numbness. Thank God the 5-hour surgery was a success. 3 stents later. A stent, if you're not familiar with them, are used a lot of times to fix blockages in arteries for heart attacks, as an example. In my case, since the artery tunnel, for lack of a better phrase, was compromised with a dissection, these stents can fortify the tunnel to allow for proper blood flow. What a whirlwind experience of emotions. My surgeon's name is Dennis, and so is my father's, so don't try and convince me that someone wasn't looking over me during this time, making sure everything was going to be okay. Because I know. I felt it. Miraculously, a couple days later, I was home. Which leads me to the second part, the recovery. Once I was home, I was hyper-focused on my physical recovery for a couple of months. Although not completely easy, being taken out of work at a moment's notice, a company that I'm very passionate about. But these types of serious events have the power to shift perspectives for the better and re-reveal what the most important things are in life. And for me, that's family. That's my wife. That's my 2 kids. That's my extended family and relatives and all my close friends. They all have been the inspiration for my recovery. Medically speaking, the lack of blood flow to my leg in just those few hours caused a lot of damage to my nerves and muscles. I believe the way the doctor put it, within 10 minutes of lack of blood flow, certain areas can stop receiving the proper oxygen to thrive. Time is everything in acute situations such as this. Fortunately for me, for what we know right now, it seems as if they intervened with the surgery in enough time that doctors are hopeful that I did not suffer any permanent damage in that leg. I still have lingering numbness in that area though. It took a solid 2 to 3 months to start feeling a bit closer to myself, although I'm still doing physical therapy 2 times per week. Certain normal everyday tasks are difficult, and I probably still have another 2 to 3 months of recovery left, if not more. I have to exhibit a great deal of patience with the recovery, and as I always like to joke, growing up in a household of all women, I've had a lot of patience and training with patience. I'll be honest though, some days I have it, and some days I don't. That's okay. I know it's a marathon and not a sprint. During the recovery, while I was out on short-term disability, I also lost my job, which was another devastating pill to swallow, but just another adverse experience I know that I will overcome. I joked a few weeks ago to this group of men that I'm part of a mastermind of, and I made the analogy that the first quarter of 2021, I feel like Dikembe Mutombo in that Geico commercial where he's just haphazardly going from one situation to the next and swatting things out of the way, since he ranks right up there as one of the all-time leading shot blockers in the NBA. It's just been a frenzy here for me and my family in 2021, but I feel confident that I'm just swatting these adverse moments out of the way. I'm properly grieving them as they come. I'm processing them as efficiently and effectively as possible, which ultimately leads to a place of acceptance. And then most importantly for me, I'm figuring out how to productively move forward, to learn from the experience, to pave the way for greater things down the road. Which brings me to the third section, the future. I'm writing this now because I'm in a great place, especially mentally, which in a lot of ways will be a tougher and longer recovery than the physical one I'm dealing with. I am determined though, not just for myself, but for my family. That's been the major blessing throughout all this, more time with my wife and 2 kids, the most important things in the world to me. These crazy life events can certainly be incredibly jolting, but it can also lead to perspective gained that you never thought possible. This experience has allowed me to grow spiritually and strengthen my relationship with God. Crisis equals opportunity. Don't ask God, why is this happening to me? Instead, answer the question, why is this happening for me? I plan to use this setback for good. Scratch that, for great. To help others, to inspire others, and to let them know it's not over when the walls start to feel like they're caving in. In fact, it's just the start of something even better. After all, the comeback is always greater than the setback. So this challenge that I want to take on for the rest of 2021, it's all part of my comeback story. But to continue talking about the future, I do have to take another step back and revisit what I said I was going to revisit earlier on in the recording. And that is to fill you in a little more on the backstory of 5 years ago when I found out that I had this genetic condition. I swear, I'm going to get to explaining this massive challenge. I know I keep hinting at it, and I'm starting to feel like that TV show where you're just about to learn the cliffhanger and then it keeps going to commercial. Shout out Bachelor. Although, I wouldn't know anything about that actually. Trust me, just hang in there with me a bit longer, I promise. Okay, so as I said, I was diagnosed with this very rare genetic connective tissue disorder in 2016 called vascular Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, or vascular EDS. There are 7 different types of EDS, and this is type 4, vastly different from the 6 other types based on the vascular component. And unfortunately, it is the most serious type. It can cause organ ruptures and aneurysms and dissections that can be life-threatening. The how of how I found out that I had this was interesting. My son was born in 2014 and had some early complications. Was on a feeding tube for several months after he was born. He was aspirating when drinking milk, and the nutrients just weren't really going where they needed to go. Fortunately, it was only for a few months, and he passed his swallow studies, and we eventually got him off the feeding tube. However, The geneticist wanted to do a full panel on the parents just to see if anything rare or unique showed up. And unfortunately, vascular EDS showed up for me. A rare disorder that I had lived with for over 35 years of my life and didn't even know it. But a light bulb went off in the geneticist's head when he knew what my family history was, which included my dad passing away at 49 years old when I was 7 years old from a ruptured aortic aneurysm. So something doctors told me my whole life, that it wasn't genetic on how my dad passed away. Well, unfortunately it is. There is a correlation there. I try to keep everything in perspective though. I try to take the glass half full approach. Plus, as I said before, I have an amazing and supportive wife who means the world to me. Knowing the fact of how my father passed away and how it was pretty sudden, out of nowhere, that does sometimes keep me up at night. We've talked about it on some VEDS support group calls, and we all feel at times like an imaginary sniper is locked in on us, waiting to fire. Or for me personally, I've described it as feeling like you're just a ticking time bomb, just waiting for the other shoe to drop. But here enters the power of reframing. I have one of my fellow brothers of my men's mastermind group to thank for this. Soon after my surgery, I had the opportunity to present my story to the group, and they were there to support me in a huge way. I explained this feeling of the ticking time bomb. After he heard my entire story, he said, "DeCo, I don't see you as a ticking time bomb. You went through a traumatic event, you got through it, and here you are telling your powerful story just shortly thereafter. You're not a ticking time bomb. You're a bomb disposal technician." And boom, there's the power of the reframe right there. That subtle reframe is paying long-term dividends on how I positively go through life with this condition. And I hope that reframe can help others with this condition, or any other condition for that matter. So the plan for me going forward, the maintenance part, is to get annual MRAs of my chest, abdomen, and pelvis to catch any aneurysms that develop or get larger before they become a problem. An MRA is basically the same as an MRI, but instead of looking at muscles and whatnot, you're looking at blood vessels, arteries, and veins. So I'm scheduled to get some follow-up scans in May. The only other maintenance is that I take a beta blocker, not because I have high blood pressure, but they want the beta blocker to keep me from getting the high spikes of blood pressure, which could put strain and undue force on arteries and such. I wear a medical bracelet because of the rarity of the syndrome and the sudden nature of how some of these life-threatening situations could arise. Case in point, see my event in January. So that's where my big challenge is coming from. I want to do this for my family. I want to do this for all people with VEDS, or any other genetic or rare condition for that matter. I want to take this crisis over the last few months, and bigger picture over the last handful of years, and create that opportunity. I want to go big. As I said before, I'm not going to get down in the dumps and keep asking God, why is this happening to me? For the last few months, I've been praying to God to help me answer that question. Why is this happening for me? This is why. To inspire others, to bring awareness to VEDS, to be a role model for people who have to live with this condition. These are my reasons. Just recently, as part of my men's mastermind group, we've been talking a lot about identity lately, and we developed these I am statements, some of which we feel confident we are living today, and others of which ones we are striving to become. Here's just a sampling of some of mine. I am a man who loves God and is in service to God and to others. I am a man who will leave this earthly world with peace, comfort, and no regrets. I am a loving man with a big heart and a thoughtful mind. I am a man who loves his family and would do anything for them. I am a loving, loyal, faithful husband with a thriving marriage. I am a man who is loyal and can be counted on. I am a man who leans right out over my edge without pushing myself over. I am a man that is important to other people's lives and seeks out opportunities to inspire others. I am a man that models grace. I mention these to you because this challenge embodies me playing out these I am statements. This is the great man that I want to identify with. So here's my challenge. I want to reach 4 million steps this year, and in the process raise awareness and funds for vascular EDS organizations supporting this genetic condition. Full disclosure, I tried kickstarting this challenge last year. Candidly, I failed. I did not put my full effort into it. I got my steps, but failed on the awareness and fundraising aspect of it all. I actually set a goal of 2 million steps and ended up with 3 million. So I crushed that aspect of it, but I only raised $583 for the Ehlers-Danlos Society. With a little awareness regarding the cause and why I was even doing it in the first place. It was too self-serving. It was not fulfilling. But I'm not failing this year. I've started a new GoFundMe page with a new goal, and I'm going big. 1 penny per step. 4 million steps, $40,000. So $40,000 is my goal. Why 4 million steps? For some of you who know me, I can get wrapped up in the math. I'm kind of a numbers geek at the end of the day. I did 3 million last year, so I want to add another million to last year's accomplishment. But in reality, it's even harder. My steps in Q1 of this year are obviously way down because of my surgery and recovery. So I have a lot of ground to cover for the remaining months of the year, which won't be easy. I'm still not 100%. But the docs are saying to promote activity within reason, and that's why I thought a steps goal was very appropriate for this year. As much as I'd love to run my 3rd marathon, I don't think those types of grueling events are in my future anymore. So I have to average somewhere between 12 and 13,000 steps per day the rest of the year to hit my 4 million number. That is about the range I was at in 2020 before my surgery. So as we say in our mastermind, I'm living out right over my edge without pushing myself over. This is going big, but I can't do it alone. I need you guys to help me get there. Because donating to this cause and supporting me along this journey, you are not just helping me, you are helping my family and all the other families impacted by this syndrome. Oh, I almost forgot. I have one more ask. Mark your calendars. Friday, May 21st is Red for VEDS Day. It's a global campaign to raise awareness for vascular EDS. 3 simple things I ask you to do that day, which will mean the world to me. 1, wear red. 2, take a photo. And 3, share on your social media using hashtag #RedsForVEDS. And tag me too if you're on Instagram or Facebook. My Instagram is SlimDeco and my Facebook is Mike Deco. Don't worry, I'll be sending out reminders leading up to the day. Thank you for hearing me out and taking the time to listen to my story. I wish only the best for you and your families and loved ones throughout the upcoming year. Thank you. Love and blessings to all.